Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast we're talking beer, but not beer as you might know it. We're talking alcohol-free beer. Now, I know, don't let that put you off. This is really good alcohol-free beer. So, stick around, check it out, listen to what we have to say. Maybe we can convince you. We shall see. If you're watching us on YouTube, hi! If you're subscribing on YouTube, awesome. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Please do. It means a lot to us. Some would say the world to us. Right, let's kick this puppy off. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Pursuit of Hoppiness.
Recording in progress.
She knows what time it is, and these boys definitely know what time it is. I'm going to hand the reins over to the host with the absolute most. All the ABVs, Mr. Matthew Moore. Let us know how it's going.
Well, good evening, ladies, gentlemen, everything else that goes in that kind of thing. Welcome to the Pursuit of Hoppiness. It's the alcohol-free, low-alcohol edition that we do every kind of 3 or 4 months to kind of scratch that itch, as it were. So to help kind of talk us through our journey through the delights that are taste like beer, but don't have the effects of beer, and are almost possibly more enjoyable for it, some might say, are Stuart Woodmansey.
Hello.
Paul Williams.
Guten Tag.
And Guru AF, Mr. Andy Cook.
Hello there.
Right then. We'll kind of start off the pod as we normally do with our beers of the month. We'll go from there, and then if we've got any alcohol, I've tried to kind of look for some kind of alcohol-free beers to be my beers of the month, but also I've got to kind of stay true to what my beers of the month were as well, and discuss them. But I do have a low ABV beer for a little bit later on as a kind of shout out. So, Stu, beer of the month.
Nice and easy one for me, this. It was Blueberry Pumpkin Spice Latte from Vault City, from the past weekend's craft beer calling. Went to log it on Untapped, do my usual take a photograph, and I was like, oh no, that's me, just drank it all before I even got a chance then, because it was very, very nice. Very appropriate for the time of the year. Obviously, everybody knows by now I also love a good gimmick beer, so why not give it a go? And if my memory serves me correctly, Vault City were pretty much sold out after not even 90 minutes into the session.
I think 7:45 I had it clocked at when I was there, and they had the sold out sign up.
I think we had beers, we ate to make sure that we didn't get too enjoyable, and then we went back to get some more beers, and Amy came back really sad that they no longer had beers anymore. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. We're going to do a full review of the craft beer calling next beer pod to tie in with a certain brewery. Guess who's on the postcard? I think Paul.
To keep mine on brand for this particular podcast, my beer of the month is actually an alcohol-free one. It is, however, one that has been mentioned several times over on the podcast, and it is the Beavertown Laser Crush.
I could smell a laser crush coming from a mile away.
I have had some evenings at friends' houses where I, for one reason or another, either didn't want to drink or just felt it was best to not drink, but still want to have a refreshing beverage of a more adult nature. So decided to join the train to Flavour Country and get on the alcohol-free bandwagon. And as discussed on previous podcasts, the Laser Crush by Beavertown is an excellent beer, and it's the beer that I've bought more than once this month. Let's put it that way.
I praise indeed that.
6-pack in Tesco, or 4-pack in Tesco for £6.
Lovely stuff.
Andy, because it's the alcohol-free, low ABV edition.
So,
What?
I've been getting a real kick out of two things at the moment: raspberry beer and sours. And if you do that, and then I've been dabbling with some raspberry beers that don't come in as a sour, but absolutely should have sour written on the label. Unfortunately, we can't talk about that brewery anymore. So we'll talk about one of the other breweries, which I have been absolutely enjoying. I'm going to butcher every word of this beer, and there are many. Pujala. Jeez, man. Prens Lure. Non-alcoholic raspberry Berliner Weisse.
Berliner Weiss.
See, this guy gets it. I'm enjoying this brewery quite a lot. They do 2 or 3 that I keep talking about what I've started referring to as my core range. There are certain beers that when I place an order, they're always on there. I think I mentioned last time the Speakeasy, the collab beer. I really like that beer, so that's crept onto the order every time since. And this raspberry beer is lovely, and like I say, I've had 2 or 3 orders recently, and it's been on every one of those orders. And it's very much a beer that it's a Saturday night beer for me. If I'm like, I need a little treat, and it's just always, whenever you open the fridge door, it just so happens to be right there. It's like, yes, sir, get in my belly. So that is my beer of the month.
When I sat down to think about this earlier, I kind of scrolled through my phone to kind of decide, and I could say I've got 1 beer of the month. I could say I've got 2 beers of the month. I could say I've got 3 beers of the month. I can't separate them.
Oh man, you were going for like the full-on 6-pack then.
So I just look back and I was just like, I can't separate these 4 beers out. The first one, and I messaged Stu and Paul when I had drank this, and it's the North Brewing collab with Beer Gods, the double dry hopped IPA, and I was just like, yeah, it's made with people called Beer Gods, and therefore this beer tastes like it was made by said gods. It was just outstanding. outstanding. The smell from initially kind of opening it, pouring it, the taste, the mouthfeel, it was just absolutely outstanding. I went back in for a Put Away Your Art, which is another North Brewing company collab with somebody that was a sour IPA. I've had it several times. Every time it's an absolute winner. It's just got that really kind of nice, crisp taste that a sour IPA has. It's kind of what I wished a brute IPA had ever been. It's what I expected from a brute IPA, and got in a sour IPA instead. Also, I finally got around to, and I forgot the name of it, the Tiny Rebel Fruit Machine Dream Sour. And I also have another one of those in the fridge. That was an outstanding sour. And then to top it all off, like I said, little spoiler alerts from Craft Beer Calling. I eventually got to taste Alpha Delta, which is a brewery in Newcastle, their Big Blue Birthday beer, which it was a double IPA, and it was blue. And you think, all right, that sounds like a gimmick. And then it tasted absolutely awesome. It was the first beer I drank that night. I should have gone back for another one. I didn't, and then they sold out. So I'm now waiting for the cans to come, because I'll definitely be buying one in the same way that we're meant to have one beer of the month.
I also had that, and it was spot on.
It was
initial taste. I thought was a bit boozy, but then it sort of mellowed out a bit, and it was very, very nice.
Very, very good. Shot beer of the month. I have a candidate for shot beer of the month. Obviously, what we try to do is on the low alcohol, where we focus on the low alcohol beers. If nobody else has got one, I would like to put forward the Brooklyn Special Effects.
That's exactly the same one I was also going to mention.
Weirdly, because I was going to go with what Paul mentioned as his beer of the month, because I managed to pick up the. I mean, if you go to my fridge now, there's a Laser Crush in there. If you go into the box next to the fridge, there's a Laser Crush. It's a never-ending supply chain of Laser Crush, and as we mentioned, readily available. But the Brooklyn that is the first non-alcoholic beer that I drank when I went from, I mean, I guess this is the best you can do when it's non-alcoholic, to, what is this? It was something that, the kind of thing where you have to triple check to make sure it's definitely not got any alcohol in. And then you're like, why does this taste so nice? And that was the first thing I ever drank where I was like, this is non-alcoholic and it tastes nice.
And considering it's a lager, it tastes better than any alcoholic lager I have drank ever. Would be the kind of sum up from that. I'm like, it says lager on it. It doesn't taste like the absolute pig swill piss water that unfortunately most people serve up as a lager, and that's taking the whole brewery industry into account with that one. It's a really good beer, and I sat there. I had it the other night when I was out as the designated driver, and I was like, I'll have one. I'll have another one, please, because that was really good. But the Laser Crush, we've discussed this repeatedly, how good that beer is as a beer, full stop. That I think that's the kind of thing. It's getting to the point now where obviously we're kind of pandering to the sectioning off of it, but it's compare it against other beers as opposed to just comparing it against other non-alcoholic beers, because those two beers would stand up against other kind of beers, as it were. But yeah, that's good, 2 good choices. I think it's probably worth discussing now. I haven't tried it yet, but anybody tried the Guinness Zero Alcohol?
Not yet, but I really want to.
Any reviews on that?
Now, we mentioned it before when I thought it was out the first time, and apparently this is its possibly second go-round, because the first lot they decided was terrible. Genuinely, cannot tell the difference between proper Guinness. Oh, sorry, that's not to do it a disservice, but cannot tell the difference between OG Guinness and the NA Guinness. Even down to the fact it comes with a throwback to the John Smith cans of the 2000s with a small plastic ball widget inside.
Oh, nice.
But no, it's, in all seriousness, it pours the same, it settles the same. You still can't do a shamrock when you pour it out of a can the same. And it was just good. And it was used in the birthday celebrations over the last week as well, in the sense of a Guinness chocolate cake was requested, and we bought the non-alcoholic version of Guinness to go in it, and it just tastes exactly like chocolate Guinness cake still. It's not done anything weird in the cooking process, so it even works in that too. So seeing as it's Great British Bake Off time of the year and all, we'll hit all those trends.
Excellent. I think I've got some in the fridge to try. It will definitely be something I'll be trying soon. But yeah, excellent. Right, let's get on with the meat of the podcast, as it were, and let's go to our kind of brewery of focus. And we have focused on a non-alcohol, like a low ABV brewery. We chose these kind of. It's a really new brewery, but we mainly chose them because we've introduced with their neighbours when we were serving on at Hop City. They kind of interacted with us quite kindly on social media, and they make some really, really tasty beers, which we're about to get into. And if you can look really, really closely on your screens, if you're watching on YouTube, and I've built up the suspense close enough for everybody to kind of really, really get excited, and then I'm going to try and scare everybody with.
Yep.
It is Mash Gang. Alright, the mighty Mash Gang. There they are, yes.
Can we first talk about their awesome social media game? Can we get that out front and centre?
It was going to be a continual kind of part of the discussion, because I think, even compared to established breweries and stuff like that, their social media game is by far kind of, people need to learn from it, because it's honest, it's interesting. I think that's kind of part of the kind of appeal of them. I think there's like an artistry to kind of the brewery as a whole kind of thing. For those of you, we'll try and do like a mashup. I think I might have most of the cans still at home anyway, so we'll try and take a picture of all the cans that we've got to kind of show off the artistry. So they kind of refer to themselves as a phantom craft brewery. And if anybody was unsure about what a phantom craft brewery is, and I was, and kind of am until I read this to you. So for those who don't know, phantom brewers are beer makers that focus on recipes and enlist the help of breweries to create the finished product. So basically, they don't own a brewery themselves yet, but they enlist the help of other breweries to kind of imagine their kind of vision inside their brewery. So kind of and the best the kind of thing about them is they were born in lockdown. So the first lockdown due to the COVID kind of thing was when they kind of started, and kind of like, if you go again, like we said, their social media is great. If you want to go and find out more about them, they probably think I'm a complete stalker today, because I've been going through their social media to get information out of them. And there's just like interviews with them. They kind of got bits where they spent like an hour or so kind of chatting and talking people through the beers and stuff like that. And they just basically were like, we were drinking every day, and kind of thought so far through, yeah, we can't keep on drinking every day. We need to but we don't want to keep on drinking, so we want something low alcohol so we can drink beer. And then they were like, but then the selection of the low alcohol craft beer is not great, as we've discussed. So they decided to do something about it. So to create great alcohol-free, low ABV beers. Like I said, they're a phantom craft brewery, and most of their beers, I think, have been, we kind of discussed this before as well, were brewed in the Old Flack store at Northern Monk, so they've got quite a good relationship with them. I think it's kind of come to an end that they're going to stop brewing there, and they're looking to kind of get somewhere of their own, or to kind of a little bit closer to home, because I think they live all over the shop. After talking, some of them live in Wales, some of them live in Brighton. I think they're in London. The offices are based in London, so it's kind of like all over the shop kind of thing in terms of as a project. And then more recently, they've worked with Gypsy Hill, and I think they've worked with Gypsy Hill a few times with their beers. But yeah, just really kind of interesting beer, interesting art, kind of a good kind of craft of it. So yeah, the beers that we've tasted, that we've all tasted, well, I'm about to taste, well, we've all tasted, well, I think, California Uncommon, which is a malt liquor, 0.5%, Stoop, which is an American Pilsner, another 0.5%, Death, a Cryo New England IPA, and I just showed it before, the Transcendence, which is a double dry hop pale ale, which, yes, we'll discuss that one in a minute, because you might have watched me fall in love on the screen just a few minutes ago, because that is a cracking beer. I'm just going to try Death first, just in case, before I commit fully to Transcendence.
Pause for effect.
That's also very good. So the California Uncommon, the malt liquor. I'm not familiar with malt liquor. Has anybody else drank malt liquor?
Well, I've drank both of. Well, no, I think I've drank both of those. I was just chatting to Andy before we started, and I think, ironically, might have misplaced an alcohol-free beer, and it's not from sort of, memory loss due to alcohol. I've definitely had one of them. Honestly, straight up, wasn't that keen on that one. It's definitely my least favourite of the ones that we've tried. It had like a bit of a weird taste at the end for me. It was a bit. I think we reflected before amongst ourselves that I think that for me was a little bit herbal at the end, and it wasn't what I was expecting. I think of the well, I haven't had the Transcendence in can as yet, but I think for me, of the three, and prepare yourself, podcast fans, I am about to actually say these words. The lager was my favourite of the three that came in.
Wow!
That's the Death. So the Stoop is the American Pilsner. Like, again, kind of going back to what we talked about with the Brooklyn one, that the Stoop Lager is way better than any standard lager. Not standard lager, any other lager that you drink. It was really tasty. It's one of them ones where you think I'll probably go back in for that again. In the pack we got from I think it's called the Wise Bartender, which is an alcohol-free website. So I think that was a 6-pack. So you got 2 Stoops, 2 California Uncommons, and 2 Deaths. Which were £15, I want to say. I think.
Yeah, thereabouts, and then it was a bit more with postage, but can't argue with that.
I think I added some more in to kind of make it worthwhile.
And if your wife's listening, definitely didn't. They were for us.
But yeah, the Stoop American Pilsner was outstanding. This Death, the Cryo New England IPA, it's got a nice kind of hoppiness to it. But like I said, once you get round to the Transcendence, in terms of the double dry hopped pale, it's absolutely fantastic. Like it drinks and feels like a double dry hop pale ale, which is what you want really.
When we were at Hop City, and obviously we got to spend a little bit of time talking to the guys and what have you there, there was a point where one of I can't remember what beer that they had on, and it ran out halfway through our session, and they went and got a fresh keg of Transcendence, and I got really excited because at that point all I saw was double dry hopped, and I was like, whoa, here we go. Yeah, absolutely wasn't disappointed in that at all at the time, but put off having the Stoop on draft there because it said lager. Now I've had this, and I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
I could have had it fresh out of the keg, but missed opportunity for now.
Is it making you question your hard stance on all things lager based?
Mashgang will change people's opinions on alcohol-free and low ABV beers, but they will not change my entire stance on lager. Just this particular one is very nice.
See, it's interesting. It's interesting that you've said that, because I think I'd probably flip your sort of rankings as such, and I'd say that of the ones I've had so far, the Death was the best one that I've had so far. I'd say that was the one that was probably the most full-bodied, if I was going to go sort of for like a description and stuff like that, whereas the other two were a bit thinner. But so far, that one has been spectacular.
So I think I had a conversation with one, if not two, or all of you about doing this podcast and being a little worried, because obviously we big up the brewery that we're gonna do. We were hitting up Mashgang on the socials. Obviously, you guys have interacted with them anyway. Very excited to get hands on and get them tasted. And when I looked through, I was like, there's a lager. Absolutely gonna have to smash that one in first. Drank the lager and was like, oh no, because as far as non-alcoholic beer goes, if you put a lager, obviously we were talking the Brooklyn, but if you put a lager in front of me, I'm gonna struggle to get through that. And I was like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Are we gonna be on the podcast? And I'll be like, they weren't nice. But then I went to the malt next. I was like, oh, this is nice. This is a lot nicer than the lager. And then when I got to the like Paul was saying, when I got to the Death, I was like, now we're talking. You can really taste the chili on the back of it. It's like, ooh, chili. So I was worried to start with. I was like, oh man, this isn't going to go well. But yeah, I'm with Paul. The death's the one for me. I'm not sure if it might be the case, but I believe there might be a need for a commercial break.
Well, refill time.
Well, it is. It's time to get to the bar, ladies. Look at this. Empty glasses. No good for a beer pod. 3 empty glasses. I feel over prepared somewhat. We're going to take a very short break. You enjoy the adverts, as it would be in this country, and we'll catch you momentarily. Be right back.
Recording in progress.
Absolutely fantastic products. So, Matt, take us on a journey.
Welcome back. I hope you've been to buy lots of Bash Gang beers. It'll basically be kind of thing in your brief break. Right, so what I thought we'd do is kind of go through some of their previous brews. And you would have thought for a brewery that's kind of barely been 18 months in existence, there wouldn't be too many to talk about. Hold on, because there are quite a few to go through. First one, Georgia in my mind, a peach cobbler beer. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Tahiti Treat, 0.5% tropical fruit cocktail beer. Yes, please. Watermelon sour. Yes, please.
What a theme here.
6 a.m. load-in breakfast stout. Disco load out. Also a stout. Anxiety Saint. That will be discussed in a minute. A stout. Assault Rifle fruit sour, brewed with O'Brien's Bottle Shop in Holmfirth. Sounds awesome. A mango nada, a 0.0 hard soda with Good One soda. Spiritual Journey, which has got something to do with transcendence, which is a 0.5% double dry hopped pale. And then one that I've seen it. I'm not sure if any of you guys have had it. The Gary's Fizzy Army, the fruited Berliner Weiss that they did as the Northern Monk patrons with Lee Mai Lamau, who's an artist, and that one was a fruited Berliner Weiss. That one's on the kind of slightly highest end of with a 2.4% one. That was one that I'd seen about and always been like, I need to buy that, and then never did, and I regret it immensely. I think that was it. Oh, and then they did a little kind of triple box of a Mountain Pale, a West Coast Pale, and an East Coast Pale, all 0.0%. Yeah. So 18 months, and I haven't even bothered counting up the beers there. But there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of trying stuff, and I think that's one of the things that I like about them is that they'll try stuff, and it's like, well, if it don't work, then it doesn't work. And I think in one place that we've kind of, or like an experience that we've had as a collective, don't know what I said, but we ordered the Anxiety Saint Nitro Charged, kind of some coffee stout kind of thing, and something went wrong with the brew, and it was basically email around, sorry guys, it's not worked, but we're going to rebrew it, and we'll just send you double your order. Brilliant, wicked. That's just great, and then it's kind of like, then you go onto Instagram and it's like they're taking the piss out of themselves. I think it's that kind of the thing that craft brewing's kind of moving away from a bit at the moment, and maybe there is a need to be sensible, but also it's that not taking yourself too serious, and the fact that we're doing something fun here and we're trying to do excellent things, and that's why you get behind it a little bit more.
Well, like they just call a spade, don't they? In that respect, like what happened was, it was something to do with the cannon, wasn't it? They brewed the beer, and that the cannon hadn't gone quite as expected, so that I think it was some of the cans weren't full, and then as such it had then let stuff into the cans that wasn't supposed to be there, and it had caused a bit of a quality issue. But rather than just sort of sweeping it under the carpet with a general recall, they put the information out pretty much straight away. They gave people the option of the refund or the double up kind of option, which, I mean, everybody, you would hope, has picked the second option, rather than try and pass it off in, a really, like, maybe condescending way, like a maybe much bigger Scottish-based outfit might possibly do.
Shots fired? Non-alcoholic shots fired.
So that, I'd put that in a looking forward to section, which is not something we normally do. So that was the nitro-charged anxiety scene. But then also the Nezkovic that they've kind of hinted at, which has kind of got something like, I'm like, yes, please make that here. And the Unlucky Charms as well. That one, serial kind of. I was like, yeah, both of those, please. We'd really like those ones. And so it always kind of, like we said, also like they're very brutally honest on their kind of things. Obviously, they released the Shandy Man the other day, and it should have been going up at 6. And then it was just released dead early, and then it was all sold out. And they're like, "What are you gonna do? It was sold out," kind of thing. It's kind of, but it's good. I think, like I think the thing for me is that when not only you're making, we've kind of spoke about this before. Not only have you got to be making beers that are as good as the alcoholic alternative, but also are you pushing the boundaries a little bit? Are you kind of making it better than what the alcoholic kind of version is, or making better beers than what your alcoholic companions are?
I think by their own admission, and like I've seen it a time or two where they'll put up like a poll on their socials, and it's like, do you want us to get on and brew some beer, or do you want us to do some weird shit? And invariably, so far, weird shit wins every time. I mean, clearly that's Andy then pressing the button, but it's actually like
I'm logging in with my 9 Instagram accounts just so I can press weird shit every single time.
But like when they said about doing like the Lucky Charms beer, it was like, I mean, you could just maybe try and take down another different New England IPA, or you could essentially make a beer that people haven't yet made, so why not?
Exactly. Also, talking about their social media, a while back they put an offer on to for people just to kind of get an exclusive beer. There's only a few of them made, and I was very lucky to get the Dark Paradise, which is a complex tropical pale ale with Citra Incognito and Spectrum Mosaic. So I'm going to try that now.
Live on air tasting.
On air.
Oh.
Of course, I've fluffed his lines by pouring it like a amateur.
It looks like it might be quite dark.
No, I think that's a trick.
Oh, it's maybe because it's against the black of Matt's t-shirt. That'll probably be why.
Congratulations on Nobody making the joke about the flake coming in the box with Matt's beer.
I mean, honestly, what an absolute letdown at the end there.
Again, pause for effect.
It's a really nice IPA. It's kind of like a session IPA kind of flavour to it. Nothing kind of too aggressive to it. Nothing kind of thingy. Those kind of fruity hops come through. It tastes good. Obviously, I've done an absolutely terrible job of pouring that there, but you know.
What was it clocking on the ABV? Is it a 0.5 again, or is it a 0.0?
Zero, full on, absolutely alcohol free.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Ashgang, like we said, it depending on what your kind of particular choice is in terms of beers. They got everything there. A lager recommended by a self-confessed lager disliker.
Yep.
I'll second that. You know, the California Uncommon wasn't for me. And I think it's like Andy said, I perhaps didn't like the herbal end to it. The Transcendence is outstanding. It tastes like a double dry hopped IPA, or double dry hop pale ale, and better than some that I've had, which would be the kind of thing that I say with that. The one thing we haven't spoken about, and I'm surprised it hasn't come up. 3 people on here. There we go. 3 people on this podcast have tried this delightful beer, fresh out of the keg. When I saw Gypsy Hill were at the craft beer calling on Saturday, I was like, maybe they would. And then when we walked in, there it was, and that soft scoop, which is a screwball sour. I mean, again, you know, in terms of beers of the month, definitely just had one of those. Definitely didn't have 2. Definitely not 3. Definitely didn't have wandering around beer, which was kind of like get into the hall. Oh, right, well, we'll just go and I'll get a little glass of soft scoop, and then I'll go and pick some more beers that I'm going to drink after I've finished this delightful morsel. That is outstanding. So there's still some available of that on Gypsy Hill. It's through the Gypsy Hill Brewery. Get yourself over there. It's 1.2%. But it's, again, like we said, their beers stand up and surpass the alcoholic version of it.
They're really, like, for me, like, because of the like you said about them pushing the boundaries, it's not a case of comparing them to like other, like, you know, fully ABV'd up beer. It's just, you know, it's not that, it's you can't use that, it's alright for an alcohol free one with these guys. It's just good beer.
Yeah, it's disingenuous to kind of put them in that, like, alright, here's my low ABV beers or non-alcoholic beers, this is the best of those, when actually it's like, well, actually, go and think about your sours that you've drank. Where does it fit in? Just sours? Just, okay, go through your list and kind of put it in the correct place. Same, like I said, with the Transcendence in terms of like a double dry hopped pale ale. Alright, don't let's kind of, yeah. Okay, we can compare it to the low alcohol ones, but actually, where does it fit in the kind of rankings of like just like your normal drink?
I think, like you said, it's that sort of thing where, so say if you just go to a pub with someone, and you particularly go to the bar to get the drinks in, and they say, "Oh, get us a pale ale or something like that." If you were to bring them that, so this is obviously the Transcendence, if you were to take them that and not tell them that it wasn't an alcoholic beer, would they necessarily come back to you and say, is there anything wrong with this beer? Or would they just drink it and think, that is a juicy, tasty beer? I think they would on this one. I think it's got all the hallmarks, of, like you say, of a double dry hop pale. It's got that juicy sort of kick on it that a good pale ale should. And it's that thing where, like you've said the last time we've done one of these, where you had to sort of go back and check the can just to make sure it definitely was alcohol free and stuff like that. And that's always going to be the sort of the hallmarks of a good, not even alcohol free beer, just a good beer where you sort of have to sort of think about it and just look at it and just go, yeah, fair play.
I don't know if it's because they maybe they're coming from a different kind of viewpoint on it, and it's not like what Matt was saying before about how they want to make the beer so they can drink the beer every day, as opposed to we want to make this beer so it tastes like this other beer. Like, and that's quite. I mean, when we were with them at Hop City, they were quite happy to disappear off and try plenty of other different sort of breweries' wares, if you like. But they weren't part of this exclusive, we only make loads of non-alcoholic, so we're only going to drink loads of non-alcoholic stuff. Those guys came back from one of the other things with a 14% beer for us to drink, and like, so they're not shy of trying the big hitting stuff. But you're not telling me that they're then, coming at their own brews from a. Like, why would they then, if they like that beer, not make their own version of it? But
I would have put them under the bracket of chief disruptors, because obviously when
yeah, absolutely, but absolutely sound, all of them.
Oh yeah, when the other half stuff was on, and it's like, what are those ones? That's the triple mosaic. What? Come on, like send them tongue down. Then it's like, oh, is that the broccoli special reserve coming on? Yeah. But, come on, pass it down. And you're like, all right, and then like you said, come back 40%. There you go, lads. You're like, whereas I know like a lot of the attitude of the other low alcohol breweries is providing an alternative. And they may drink alcoholic beer as well, but it's kind of like, I think what they're setting out to do is just do right. What beer would make us happy? What taste would make us happy? And you kind of think this is what you hope that most breweries are doing. Whether they all are doing that, I don't know. But it's just like, right, here's some beers that are going to make people happy and make people happy to drink them. Are they going to like all of them? No. But then that's boring if everybody likes all your beers all the time.
You were saying as well about the soft scoop and having more than one. Having just had a quick flick through my beer listing from Craft Beer Calling, that is the only beer that I had twice. So
even it was the one that I had twice.
It was. I'm pretty sure Amy had more than one as well, didn't she? Of that particular.
She definitely had two. I think she wanted it as her last beer of the evening, and was almost as heartbroken as when she didn't get a portion of the mango beer from Vault City. Mm-hmm. I had to break her little heart when I came back and told her, sorry, you can't have that. Here's a bit of my dirty stout or whatever you can drink.
Not quite the same. Yeah, when your can goes missing, I'd sleep with that under your pillow every night, because that's going to
I kind of feel bad now. I kind of feel when I actually crack it open, I'll have to have her like sort of just next to me on the sofa, so she can just basically sort of do sharesies.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say just so she can get the smell of it whilst I sit and finish.
No, we'll make an evening of it. Well, We'll get the can, we'll crack it up, and we'll get out the glasses from CBC. And, we'll ration it to ourselves. We'll sort of have a little bit, then set it back, then have another beer, then we'll have another little bit, and then go have another beer.
Recreate the whole beyond.
Yeah.
Right, excellent. Anything else to add on Mash Gang?
No, like I say, I mean, I wanted to get the social media game out there. My fears around this podcast, which were quickly alleviated by, in my opinion, that each beer getting better as I drank it. And yeah, they're a brewery that I follow closely. I mean, obviously Instagram is one of those. If you open Instagram now and they've posted something recently, you're gonna see it. Obviously, there was the Shandyman incident, as it will forever be known, because I think we were all a little bit gutted on that one. I saw the post, went to order, sold out. So it was a bit like, I mean, I think they said they only had 40 packs or something. So it was, yeah, it was gonna go.
Was I had it in the basket, but the reception at work was terrible, so I couldn't fill the order. I was on my break at the time, just in case. But yeah, I think that's the thing that if you're unfamiliar with them, go and follow them on Instagram. Twitter is always good as well. Their Twitter recently has been hilarious recently. Kind of talking about children being up in the middle of the night and watching. I can't think what it was. It was the Rockets against something else in an NBA game. And if you're watching the Houston Rockets this season, Christ Almighty, they're terrible.
Maybe just the beer.
Little kind of aside. They're also brewing in Australia now as well. So they've got Mash Gang Australia. But anybody down under who wants alcohol-free beers, but yes, get out there, get some Mash Gang beers in your life. Yeah, very good, excellent. Well, now we come to the podcast that everybody waits for. It's Matthew's ABV is right. Full special. Whoa!
Can we just say the same? Same again. For as it goes so far.
No. This time you've got to guess the. You've got to tell me what type of beer it is, and the ABVs are different. Just to kind of keep you a little bit on your toes there. So the first one is. It's called Sleight of Hand.
Are we allowed to know to buy or not?
That's what I was. Are we not getting the brewery on this one?
Go on then. It's Tempest Brewery from Scotland.
I mean, that's absolutely helped me out. No end.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, not at all similar.
Ones later on will help.
I feel like if it's called Sleight of Hand, it should probably be a hefty beer without the heft. So I will stick to the theme of the double dry hopped IPA, and are we low to no still for this? So it could have.
Yes,
it could
they all have. Would be the clue I'll give you all. There's a value. They all have a value in there. Not a 0.0.
I'll go 2% then.
Okay.
I'm just going flat IPA. Just an IPA, 0.3%.
Okay.
In that case, I'll take the I off then. I'll just go for a pale ale. And I'll go for 1.4%.
You drink them most of the time, if not all the time. He's got it the first one round. It is a sour pale ale, but it's a 0.5%. I thought that one sounded quite nice, that did. Next one is Implosion. And it's by Tool. I think they're a Scandinavian brewery. I'm sure I meant to say that, the O with a line through it different to just two O's together.
Turn. Doesn't matter.
So Implosion by Tool.
Right, go on, Andy. It's your honours if you got that one correct.
I'm not sure if I should be allowed to have a go on this one.
Oh, had it! Had the bastard!
I've not only had it, I have frequently drunk the Implosion.
Okay, so you have to go. So you have to go last then, or just go. I'll go then. I will guess at a stout. 0.75%.
I'll say 0.5 pale.
0.5 pale. Andy, do you want to reveal the answer?
I'm just trying to see if I can find the. Damn it! I'm going through recent orders because I'm pretty sure. No surprise that every single time I go through an order, the first beer, Laser Crush, every time.
I thought I was being dead crafty, you know, you're like, oh yeah, gonna go on there and get myself on there, gonna hold Untapped, and I'll search around for low ABV beers, and I'll come out with some kind of weird names and mess things up a bit, and now I'm like,
Did you mean that pun there? When you said you got a bit crafty?
Always. I'm not down with the dad jokes.
No, that's one of the other members of the podcasting fraternity, isn't it?
Thank you.
I don't know why I can't find it on any of the recent orders. I'm pretty sure it's just like a IPA, isn't it?
What percentage?
0.5?
And Mr. Woodmansey gets it because it is just a pale ale, 0.3%. Right then, next one. To reenact Stu's action there, it is called First Chop, and it's by a brewery called Yes.
Paul's going to get this because he loves the chops. Maybe it's a beer brewed specially for Paul, and it's going to be a red IPA.
No. I'm going to go with our first sour. So So I'll go for like a sour or a fruited sour or something like that. And I'm going to go for our first beer that ticks over the 1% mark. So I'll go for 1.2.
I'm going with a milk stout, 0.8%.
I did say it was a beer brewed for Paul, but maybe it's just one that he'd like to drink. So maybe, just maybe, it's a 0.75% Radler.
I think just on ABV alone, Andy gets that one. It's a 0.5% IPA. One. Can't beer. Like flashbacks to the football podcast. Nipon Sopper. So NYPONSOPPA, otherwise translated into rose soup, from the mighty Omnipolar, which comes under the bracket of a beer I would like to drink.
We should probably just
Paul?
apologise to the Japanese for the
Oh,
swearing.
God.
Remember we had a conversation the other day about there are 2 non-alcoholic beers out there in the world that I will never drink again.
Oh.
Matt, is this like a ready orange can with what looks like a brain at the top?
Oh, I don't know. I just saw the name. Is this? Oh no.
If it's the one I'm thinking, it's etched onto my brain as a do not ever order this again beer.
So, on that regard, I'll guess that it's a stout, 0.8%, because I think the ones that he hasn't enjoyed in the past have been stout based.
That's not true, because the Space Cake one was good, and that was a
Oh,
stout.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the ones that he hasn't enjoyed, I just thought were stouts.
I'm just going to say IPA 0.5. It's the equivalent of picking a 1-0 home win at this stage in the competition.
So if this is the one I'm thinking, it is something it's just like an IPA or something like that, but it's got something in it. And when you pour it, it looks wrong and it tastes worse. It tasted of curry.
Ooh.
Oh,
If it's the one I'm thinking.
Got a guess or?
I mean that's my guess, and I'll just go 0.5.
0.5. So it is a 0.3 fruit beer.
Maybe it's one of the other ones.
I was going to say the other one.
again.
The other one, that was the one I think. This one's Ostkaka. And that was also, it's probably just as bad, to be honest. That was. That's dead.
I'm traumatized by drinking that beer.
Oh no, maybe this.
That should not be allowed to be in circulation.
No, this one's got as well. I don't know, this one. Oh, that one looks like it as well, though.
On the Apollo, have had some real.
This one poured in the glass does big beer as well. Pale ale brewed with rose hip.
That's it. That's the one. That's the one. Traumatized me. Because I'm pretty sure I drank it, and this is the thing. I'm pretty sure I drank it it was either something like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day night, or New Year's Eve. And it ruined everything for me. I was like, I don't want to play anymore.
Is the other one that you won't order anymore that rhubarb and custard one?
No, I love the rhubarb and custards too. I love
it. Rhubarb and custard, magnificent. Right then, well, we've ended on let's say a sour note, but we love sours on this podcast, so we're not going to say a sour note. On a rose hip note, a dirty, dirty rose hip note. Go to hell, rose hip. But on a lovely, tasty rhubarb and custardy kind of thoughts. Well, thank you very much, gents. Thank you very much, Mash Gang. Yeah, go and try those beers. And join us again in... Who knows when Paul Williams will decide when this podcast is going to be. Maybe it's already happened. The next one. Maybe we've imagined it many years before. Where we'll be discussing the mighty Wylam Brewery.
On our Back to the Future special that's sponsored by Paul.
Right. Thank you very much,
Cheers,
gents. See you next time. Bye. So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another lovely, lovely beer tasting session in the bag. Another non-alcoholic brewery talked about. Aren't we cool? If you're watching us on YouTube, listening on iTunes, listening on SoundCloud, wherever you're listening, watching, or whatever, do subscribe. It's a fun thing to do. You can also go to our website, thecookiecast.com. It's a little website, but it gets you in touch with us, and we love to be in touch with the people. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.